My name is Scarlet. I'm 27 years old and work in a small office doing simple computer tasks. My life is quiet and routine. I wake up early, drink my coffee, and take the bus to work. Lunch is always at my desk, and I return home when it's dark. Then I cook dinner and wait for my husband. Brian, my husband, is 33. He's tall and always in a suit. He works as a manager at a large company and often comes home late, claiming meetings and work commitments. I believed him. At first, everything felt perfect. We laughed together, cooked meals side by side, and he called me my sunshine. We spent evenings watching movies on the sofa, holding hands in the park. I felt lucky. I thought he was the one. But things changed. Slowly. He stopped smiling, stopped asking how my day was. He stayed out later, buried himself in his phone, and began sleeping on the couch. His excuse was always the same. Too tired, too much work. When I asked if he was okay, he brushed it off. When I asked if we could talk, he said he didn't have time. I began to feel like a stranger in my own home. Then, one night, I heard a name. Emma. He said it softly while on the phone. Emma, don't worry. I'll fix it. Then he laughed. I stood behind the door, not breathing, just listening. The next day, I asked him who Emma was. He blinked too quickly and said she was just his secretary. When I asked why he called her at night, he replied it was about work, but he wouldn't meet my eyes. I wanted to believe him. I tried, but something felt wrong. One day, I went to surprise him at his office with his favorite sandwich. The receptionist told me he was in a meeting, so I waited. Then I saw them, Brian and Emma, walking down the hallway together, laughing. She touched his arm, and he didn't pull away. He smiled at her, a smile I hadn't seen in months. I backed away before he could notice me and left the building, sandwich in hand, uneaten. That night, he came home late again. I didn't ask where he'd been. I just said, "Dinner is in the kitchen." He didn't thank me, just went to shower. I sat alone at the table, staring at the food I no longer had an appetite for. Days passed. I spoke less. He noticed less. We lived under the same roof, but not together. One evening, he left his phone on the sofa and stepped away to take a call in the bedroom. I knew I shouldn't, but I picked up the phone. The messages were short, but loud in their meaning. Thank you for today. Miss you already. Can't wait to see you again. All from Emma. My chest ached. My face burned. I put the phone down and walked to the bathroom. I stared at my reflection. I didn't recognize the woman looking back. She wasn't happy. She wasn't me. I wanted to scream or cry, but I just stood still, washed my face, and went to bed without sleeping. The next morning, I made coffee. When he walked in, I asked him, "Do you love me?" He looked startled and asked, "Why do you ask?" I said, "Please just answer." He looked down and said, "I don't know." That answer hurt more than if he'd just said no. I left the house with no direction, eventually settling on a bench in the park. I watched people laugh, hug, share little moments. I felt completely alone. My phone rang. It was Brian. I didn't answer. That evening, he came home early. He said, "We need to talk." We sat across from each other. His face was serious. "There's something I need to tell you," he began. My heart dropped. My hands trembled. "I've been close with Emma," he confessed. "It started as work. Then it changed." I stared at him. I didn't cry. I didn't flinch. "I didn't plan it," he added. "It just happened." He said he was sorry. I stayed silent. Then I asked, "Do you want to leave me?" His answer was as hollow as before. "I don't know." I stood up and walked to our bedroom. I didn't lock the door, but he didn't follow. I sat on the bed staring at the wall we had once painted together. This room, once filled with laughter, now felt icy and distant. The next morning, he was gone. No note. No message. Just gone. I sat at the table, staring at the empty chair across from me. I held my coffee cup. It was warm in my hands, but I felt so cold. I stayed in the kitchen for hours. The sun moved across the window. I did not move. My coffee went cold. I still held the cup. My mind felt heavy. I thought about the first day I met Brian. He smiled at me in a bookstore. He asked for help finding a book. He didn't need help. He just wanted to talk. I remembered his soft voice, his kind eyes. Was it all fake? I stood up slowly and went to the living room. His shoes were gone. His jacket, too. I looked around. His toothbrush was still in the bathroom. His socks were on the floor. I didn't know if he left for work or left for good. I sent him a message. "Are you coming back?" He did not reply. The next 2 days were quiet. He didn't call. He didn't come home. I still went to work. I answered emails. I smiled at people. But inside, I was broken. Every time my phone buzzed, I looked. But it was never him. My heart dropped again and again. On the 3rd day, I got home from work and found the key on the table. His house key. No note. No goodbye. Just the key. My knees felt weak. I sat on the floor and cried. My tears fell fast. My chest hurt. My throat burned. I cried like a child. Later, I got up and walked to the bedroom. I opened his side of the closet. Half of it was empty. He took his clothes. I opened the drawer. His watch was gone. I knew what this meant. He was not coming back. That night, I did not sleep. I looked at the ceiling for hours. I asked myself many questions. Why did he lie? Why did he hide it? Was I not good enough? Did I miss the signs? My heart said I loved him, but my mind said he didn't love me anymore. The next morning, I looked in the mirror. My face was tired. My eyes were red. But there was something else too. Something new. I saw a woman who was still standing, a woman who was hurt but not broken. I made breakfast for myself. I turned on the radio. The music was soft. I cleaned the house. I changed the sheets. I opened the windows. Fresh air came in. I felt a little better. That afternoon, I packed some of his things into a box. Not out of hate, not out of anger. I just wanted space. I put the box in the closet, then I sat on the sofa and closed my eyes. I did not cry. I did not smile. I just sat there, feeling the quiet. Something inside me had changed. I didn't know what would happen next, but I knew I had to keep going. 3 weeks passed. Brian did not call. He did not send any message. He did not come to get his things. I did not try to contact him again. My heart still hurt, but I was tired of crying. The days felt long and empty, but I still went to work. I kept quiet and stayed at my desk. My coworkers were kind, but no one asked about my life. I was glad. I did not want to speak about Brian. It was my pain, my story. One rainy Monday, I left the office early. My body felt weak, and my head was full of heavy thoughts. I walked slowly under the gray sky. The streets were wet, and water ran down my coat. I stopped at a small shop to buy milk and bread. The man at the counter smiled and said, "Cold day." I smiled back, but it was small and weak. Then I walked home. As I turned the corner near my building, I saw a car. My heart jumped. It was Brian's car. I stopped for a second. I looked at it and took a deep breath. Then I went up the stairs. My steps were slow. I was not ready, but I had to face him. He stood at the door. He looked tired. His clothes were messy. His eyes looked sad. "Hi," he said. I looked at him but said nothing. "Can we talk?" he asked. I didn't answer. I walked inside and left the door open. He followed me. We stood in the living room. He looked at the table. I stood near the sink. The room was quiet for a long time. "I'm sorry," he said. His voice was soft. "I made a mistake." I still didn't speak. Emma meant something for a short time, but it's over now. I took a breath and looked at him. "Why are you here?" I asked. He looked down. "I miss you," he said. "I miss our home. I miss your voice." "You had a choice," I said. "You chose to leave." He nodded slowly. "I was confused. I didn't know what I wanted." "And now?" I asked. "I want to fix things," he said. "If you let me." I looked at his face. He looked different. His eyes were not proud like before. He looked like a man who lost something. "You broke my heart," I said. "I know," he replied. "I trusted you." "I know." I sat down at the table. My hands were cold. I had many thoughts in my head, but I asked only one question. "Did you love her?" He looked away from me. Then he looked down. "I thought I did," he said. but it wasn't real. I nodded. The pain was still inside me, but I felt calm. You can't come back and pretend nothing happened, I said. I don't want to pretend, he said. I want to be honest. I want to try again. I stayed quiet. I didn't know the answer. Not yet. I stood up from the table and walked to the window. The rain had stopped. The sky was still gray, but the streets were quiet. I looked outside for a long time. Brian stood behind me, but he did not move closer. I could feel his eyes on me, waiting. I did not know what to say. So much had happened. My heart wanted to feel safe again, but my mind said, "Be careful." I turned around and looked at him. "Do you really want to stay?" I asked. "Or do you feel sorry for what you did?" He looked surprised. He opened his mouth, then closed it again. "I want to stay," he said. "I know I hurt you. I know I broke something, but I want to try again. I want to make it right." I crossed my arms and leaned against the wall. "You didn't just hurt me, Brian," I said. "You made me feel small. You made me feel like I wasn't enough." He looked down at the floor. "You are more than enough," he said. "I was the one who failed. I was weak. I let something happen that should never have started." I didn't know if I believed him. Words are easy. Promises are easy. But trust? Trust takes time. I sat back down on the chair and looked at the cup on the table. It was empty, like the space between us. "Where are you staying?" I asked. "At a hotel," he said. "Just a small one near the station." I nodded. "And what do you want now?" He walked to the edge of the living room and sat down on the sofa. He looked tired. "I don't expect you to forgive me today," he said. "But I want to show you that I can change. I want to show you that you matter. Every day." I closed my eyes for a second. I remembered the way he used to bring me flowers, the way he would cook eggs on Sunday mornings, the way he once kissed my forehead when I had the flu. Where did that man go? I opened my eyes. "You can't stay here," I said. "Not yet." "I understand," he said. "But if you're serious, if you really want to fix things, start with actions, not words." He nodded. "Anything," he said. The clock ticked on the wall. Time passed slowly. It was quiet between us, but it was not the same silence as before. This silence had space for answers, not anger, not lies. He stood up. "I'll go now," he said. "Thank you for listening." I nodded. He walked to the door, then stopped. "I still love you, Scarlet," he said without turning around. I said nothing. I didn't even look at him. Then the door closed behind him. I sat there for a long time. I felt tired, but not broken. I was still standing. I was still strong. Later that night, I opened the window. The air was cool. A light wind touched my face. I looked at the stars above the buildings. They were quiet, but always there. I whispered to myself, maybe one day I will be okay again. The days after Brian's visit passed slowly. I thought about his words. I thought about his eyes when he said, "I still love you." I thought about the key he left weeks ago, and the lies, the silence, the long nights I spent alone. I still felt hurt, but my heart was not angry. I needed time, and I needed truth. Each morning I made coffee, ate breakfast, and left for work. I sat at my desk and typed emails, but my mind was not at work. I thought about the past, about the happy times, about the pain, and I thought about what would come next. Brian sent a message after 3 days. He wrote, "Good morning. I hope you slept well." I read the message but did not answer. Later, he sent another message. "I understand you need time. I just wanted to say I'm thinking of you." He sent one message every day, never more than one. He did not ask for anything. He did not beg. He just waited. I did not reply for a week, but I read every message. One Saturday, I woke up early. I cleaned the kitchen. I washed clothes. I opened all the windows. The air was cool and fresh. I made tea and sat by the window. Then I picked up my phone. I opened Brian's last message. "I'm here if you want to talk." I sent one word. "Coffee?" He replied fast. "Anytime." We met at a small cafe near the park. I wore a simple sweater and jeans. I didn't wear makeup. I didn't try to look perfect. I just wanted to be me. He was already there. He stood up when I walked in. "You look nice," he said. "Thank you," I said, and sat down. We both looked at the menu. Then we ordered. The waiter walked away. "I didn't think you would message me," he said. "I wasn't sure," I said. He nodded. "I understand." There was a moment of quiet. Then I looked at him. "Tell me the truth," I said. "All of it. No lies." He nodded again. "I promise." And then he told me. He told me everything. How it started. When it started. What he felt. What he thought. He did not hide anything. He did not make excuses. He said, "I was selfish. I didn't want to hurt you, but I also didn't want to stop." His words were hard to hear, but they were honest. And I needed honesty more than anything. "Do you still talk to her?" I asked. "No," he said. "I ended it. She knows it's over." "And your job?" I asked. "I asked for a transfer," he said, "to another department. I don't want to work with her again." I nodded. Then I asked the hardest question. "Do you love me, Brian? Or do you just feel guilty?" He looked into my eyes. "I love you," he said. "But I know love is not enough. I know I need to prove it." I finished my tea. Then I stood up. I'm not ready, I said. But I don't hate you. I'll wait, he said. I walked home that day with a light heart. I wasn't happy, not yet, but I was not lost. I knew who I was, and I knew what I needed. Over the next few weeks, Brian sent me small things, a flower at my door, a book I once said I liked, a warm scarf when the weather changed. He didn't ask for anything. He just showed care. We met sometimes. At the park, at the cafe. We talked. Slowly. Like two people meeting again for the first time. He listened more. He didn't try to fix everything in one day. That made me feel safe. One evening we walked through the park. The sky was pink. Leaves fell from the trees. It was quiet. I think I can forgive you, I said. He stopped walking. He looked at me with wide eyes. Really? I nodded. But it will take time. I need to move slow. I need to trust again. I'll go as slow as you want, he said. He didn't try to hug me. He didn't take my hand. He just walked beside me. That meant more than any gift. 1 month later, he came to the apartment. We sat at the kitchen table, the same place where he once said, I don't know if I love you. This time, his voice was clear. I want to move back in, he said. When you're ready. I thought for a long time. Then I said, one rule. We talk. Always. About everything. No more secrets. Deal, he said. And so he moved back in. It was not perfect. At first, I still felt nervous. I watched his phone when it buzzed. I felt pain when I heard the name Emma on TV. But he never got angry. He never said, you should be over it. He waited. He stayed. We went to dinner together. We watched movies again. We talked at night. And slowly, the fear left my heart. Slowly, I smiled again. One morning, I woke up and looked at him. He was sleeping, peaceful. I didn't feel pain. I felt calm. Months passed, and one day I came home to see a note on the fridge. Just one line. Thank you for giving me another chance. I stood there for a minute. Then I smiled. Brian made mistakes, big ones. He broke my trust. But he also changed. He chose to be better, and I chose to forgive. That does not mean I forgot the past, but it means I stopped letting the past hurt me. Now, I speak up. I say what I feel. I never keep things inside. And Brian listens. Every day. He knows my heart is strong, but not unbreakable. I don't know what the future will bring, but I know this. Love is not just a feeling. Love is action. Love is truth. Love is trying again. The right way. One Sunday morning, we sat on the balcony with coffee. The sun was warm, and the street below was quiet. I looked at Brian. He was smiling at a bird on the railing. For a moment, I forgot everything. I just watched him. He looked at me and said, I still think about that day in the cafe. I was scared you would never want to see me again. I almost didn't, I said. But something in your eyes felt true. He nodded slowly. I knew I had to be honest, even if it hurt. That's the only reason I listened, I said. You didn't lie that day. Not once. He reached for my hand. I let him take it. His fingers were warm. He didn't speak. He just held my hand and looked at the sky. Do you trust me now? He asked after some time. I thought for a moment. I trust you more than before. But trust is like a wall. You broke it. Now you have to build it again. Little by little. He squeezed my hand. Then I'll keep building. We sat in silence for a while. It was not heavy silence. It was soft. Safe. The kind of silence that comes when hearts are calm. In that moment, I didn't feel sad. I didn't feel scared. I just felt present. And that feeling was enough. I looked at Brian. Let's take a walk later, I said. I'd like that. He smiled. And just like that, life moved forward, slow, but full of hope.